Hi friends. I wanted to share today some thoughts about my experience with Lyme disease, and in particular with an herbal protocol that I tried out. It started a couple months ago, and wanted to share this because maybe it will help some people. Rebecca's doing this as well, and I'll share some about her experience. But for me in particular, I've had Lyme disease 4 times now. And the first time was, I don't know, 25 years ago maybe. It was a long time ago. And I had just come back from Nepal, and I got sick very shortly after returning, and the doctors were convinced that I had some tropical virus. And so for a very long time, I had a very high fever. I want to say it was a month and a half of being really sick before finally they took me and tested for Lyme, which oddly Rebecca had an intuition about the whole time. Have them test for Lyme. But tested for Lyme, I came back positive, and that had been a long time with the Lyme in my system that first time. So they were considering doing, I think, a spinal tap to see if it was in the spinal fluid, but opted to do a 28-day of, can't think of it, so I'll write it right up here. And I was better. 3 times after that, I've had Lyme. And I feel like, for me, the antibiotics basically wiped it out each time, with the provision that every time I did a 28-day cycle. They've scaled it back now to 14, sometimes even a 10-day cycle. And I feel like almost everybody I've spoken to who does a 14-day cycle gets sick again soon after they get off the antibiotics. So I really encourage people, if you want to go the antibiotic route, which you'll find that actually I would recommend, that you talk your doctor into that 28-day cycle. Now, when I say I recommend that, I want to be clear that for me, I am not someone that poo-poos all pharmaceuticals. I think they have their place. And the antibiotics for me, every single time, took it away, and I had what I considered to be no lingering effects of Lyme. So, happy story. Now, at the same time that that's happening, Rebecca has been, as you may know, has been kind of battling with a chronic mystery illness that has been undiagnosed for a long time. And she finally decided she would try this Lyme protocol to see if maybe, even though she's come back negative with Lyme tests and such, that she would have it in her and that this would help in some way. And so she started this up, and the long and short for her is that she does seem to be noticing some really positive results. But like in my case, sometimes it's difficult to really tell what is correlation and what's causation. So for her, she often feels a lot better in the summer, getting a lot of vitamin D. And so she's going to wait until winter and see how she feels. But as she was taking this protocol, I kept wondering a little bit. I mean, I feel really good physically, and I've kept myself in really good shape. But I would often, kind of have these, my joints would hurt sometimes, and especially working out hard, doing calisthenics, doing my jiu-jitsu with people, and then sometimes feeling like for a week I couldn't really, just pain in my joints. And I also noticed in life a little bit of I'd call it a brain fog, which seemed odd because, I'm a mindfulness guy and really practicing meditation and having a clarity of awareness. And so sometimes just having trouble concentrating. And now I'm 50 years old, right? And everybody around, not everybody around me, some voices around me saying that, by the time you're 50, yeah, you should be feeling some of the effects of age. So I've basically been going through the last few years of my life feeling like I feel really good compared to almost everybody I see around me who's 50 years old. Shouldn't complain. If I have a little achy in my joints or my brain feels a little foggy sometimes, what the heck? But what if, I thought, what if those 4 times with the Lyme, and that first time in particular, I did have some lingering effects from Lyme. So maybe I just try this protocol out and see what happens. Well, it's been super, super interesting because I've had to recalibrate what being 50 years old feels like. I felt pretty optimized before. Now I feel super optimized. That brain fog is completely gone. In my joints, I can work out as hard as I want with much younger people, and there's nothing other than the usual, muscle soreness that I would have after really, really hard workouts. So I'm going to talk a little bit about who designed this protocol and what it is, and why, if you suspect that you might have something limey going on, or interestingly, if you feel like you have some long COVID going on, this might be something you want to take a peek at. The person that came up with this is Stephen Buhner, and you may have heard his name if you are into herbalism at all. And I've always appreciated him as an author because, like me, he straddles and understands both the mystical and loves science and what science can show us. So he feels like plants are living beings and goes pretty deep into this concept of how we can connect with plants in a deeper way. And if you read his book, on the other hand, on the Lyme protocol, you're going to find that it goes really deep into science, into clinical trials, into looking at how all the systems of the body operate with each other. It's way beyond my little brain's ability to focus it all. And he explains that. He says that in the beginning of the book, that this is really for clinicians, it's for fellow herbalists, doctors who are interested in it. If you're going to read through this book, it's not for everybody unless you are versed in a lot of medical concepts. But he does a great job of giving a core protocol. So there's a main mixture of herbs that you're taking that target the Lyme. And there's also add-ons, essentially. So supplementary herbs or supplements that you would take to work with certain effects that you might be having from the Lyme. So for a lot of people, it can affect their sleep or their cognition. So when I designed my protocol, I had the core protocol, but also took things specifically for that clarity of mind and specifically for joints and cartilage. So it's possible to pick up this book and go and just look at the protocol itself and to custom design a protocol for you that give dosages and everything based on your weight and other factors, so that you have something that can not only crunch at the Lyme itself, but at whatever effects that you're feeling, specific things that have been less than optimal for you. All that being said, did the protocol work for me? I'm not 100% sure. Because again, correlation or causation. One of the things that I was having trouble with was sleep. And I was having, you've heard restless leg syndrome, so just really restless at night sometimes, so much so that it would keep me awake. And this protocol, some of the herbs seem to have knocked that out, basically after dealing with that pretty strongly for the last 10 years. And the sleep that I'm getting, maybe that accounts for everything. So maybe I'm just getting awesome sleep now, and that is why I have more mental clarity. And that is why I'm not experiencing anything in my joints anymore. I don't know. But to me, I'm glad I did it. And I'm still doing it. I'll do it for a while longer. I'm kind of tapering off the herbs. But I'm glad I did it. Rebecca's glad that she did it. She has, again, noticed, I would say, strong effects. Whether it's correlation or causation, I can't say for sure. So if you're more of a wait and see kind of person, you could come back to this video, late winter and ask us how we're feeling, especially Rebecca, and we might have a better report card for you, essentially, because we will have seen over a longer period of time. But the effects have been dramatic enough for me, even though when I say dramatic, I mean in a subtle way, because I've felt pretty darn good before, but I feel just really good now. Definitely worth it. And when I say worth it, remembering that there's going to be some disadvantages with anything like this. And here's the main ones. So first of all, this can be expensive. Now, Rebecca and I, we do a lot of our own herb gathering. We make a lot of our own tinctures. But if you're not, then this could be pricey. And there is I'm going to put the name up here. If I remember, I'll link it down in the description of this video. It's called Susquehanna, is how it's pronounced, Susquehanna Herbs. Now they sell the protocol itself. So they sell the specific herbs in capsules, and you can buy straight from them if you want to have it basically all set up. Or of course, you can gather your own herbs, plant your own herbs, grow your own herbs, make your own tinctures, and do it on your own. Either way is fine. But that price tag might be a block for some people. If it is, consider taking a year and growing most, if not all, of your own plants for this, if you want to try it. And you might find that it opens up all kinds of other doors. Just growing any plant is awesome because it just brings you into connection with the plants and deepens, I think, our connection with life in general. When we can plant things and watch them grow and derive, whether it's food or medicine from these plants, creates a connection with life that sometimes isn't there otherwise. The second negative is that it can be tough just to take so many pills every day. So when we were at the height of this, we're taking a lot of herbs and a lot of tinctures every single day. That can feel overwhelming. And the last part is that obviously with anything, there can be side effects. And I've spoken to a few people that have used this protocol. Nobody's yet told me about any negative side effects, maybe just positive ones like getting more sleep or feeling more energized, whatever it is. But I don't know if we'd call those side effects. But there's always that possibility. So like with anything, it's probably the right thing to do is to talk to your healthcare practitioner, whoever that is. And if you have a good one that's on your side, maybe they would read this book, understand it more deeply, might even help guide you through it. We, to be honest, just did it on our own because we feel like we know enough about our own bodies, and Rebecca's really good with herbs. So we just did it ourselves, and it's been pretty awesome. So the protocol that he's using for Lyme is very similar to the one that he's using now for long COVID. If you are dealing with long COVID, I know he recently said he wasn't going to do any more books, but after the whole pandemic thing, he created a protocol for long COVID. I have not any experience with that or any experience hearing from people that have used that protocol for long COVID. But knowing Stephen Buhner, he's put a lot of research into it and a lot of experience into it. And so might be worth checking out in addition to whatever else you might be using to work through that. So that's my experience with Stephen Buhner's Lyme protocol. If you want to at any time, you can leave a comment here. I usually see all comments that come in unless they get shuffled around by YouTube somehow. So, months later, a year later, if you want to check up on this and get an additional report card, I'm happy to field those comments down below. If you have tried Stephen Buhner's protocol for Lyme or long COVID or anything else like that, let us know down in the comments and we can all learn from each other. I was just thinking, because I said the word COVID, I bet it's going to put that little thing under my video that says CDC, whatever the current things are about it. So can't wait to see what you have to say down in the comments, my friends, and we will talk with you there. Love to you all.